Welcome to the All Booked podcast, where librarians Ashley, Justin, Brittin, and Rosa talk about what they're reading and adding to each other's TBR list.
Good afternoon, everybody, listeners. We are the All Book Club. Welcome back. This is going to drop January 8th, and this is our 5th season, episode 4, and we have the lovely Brittin to kick us off. Let's go, Britt.
Wow,
Let's
lovely.
go.
Thank you. Okay, so I read Darkly by Marisha Pessl, I think. I'm trying to pronounce it right. I hope I'm good. Awesome book. Okay. Our protagonist, Dia, is a huge fan of Louisiana Veda. Louisiana Veda is a gaming sort of superstar, or maybe just a total fluke, depending on who you ask. Her gaming empire was called, or is called, Darkly. And Veda, it's kind of like a Wonka or maybe Mr. Lemoncello situation here. She's gifted, these are board games that you then take and play in real life.
Ooh.
And there's
Squid Games?
well, there's a little Squid Games, Jumanji, kind of, you know.
Okay.
You have to deal with puzzles and all sorts of danger, mystery. There's psychological trials going on. So Dia believes that Veda is a genius, and whether you like her or not, the games that exist out there are highly sought after art forms. They're priceless art forms. In fact, one of the guys in the one of the characters in the book has his original Darkly game handcuffed. It's in a briefcase and handcuffed to his arm when he's traveling. So anyway, Louisiana Veda rose to the apex of her power, fell from grace, then committed suicide. It's a really tragic story. Come to modern day, and there is an internship offering 7 teens the chance to come for the summer and be an intern at Darkly. Dia somehow wins this. She's not sure how, especially because her cat actually submitted her application by jumping on the board after she'd written.
I'm sorry. In my head,
It's not a
no.
It's
You
not
gotta
a.
suspend
It is a
reality for that
sentient
one a
cat.
little
It's
bit. It's
yeah,
all right.
yeah. So, all right. So, Dia and 6 other interns arrive for their summer job, and things immediately go sideways. They're supposed to be staying in downtown London. It is actually an attorney for the Darkly Empire and for the Veda estate who's coordinating all of this. And the first thing he does is he takes these kids to this remote island with the condemned Darkly factory, and is like, you guys are going to go sleep in those cabins over there. Don't worry about it. They're on this ship with this crazy captain woman who's very amusing. They're told there was a 29th game that Louisiana Veda created, never meant it to be released. It was stolen shortly before she committed suicide. And somebody has apparently put this game into action, and now a boy has gone missing, believed maybe he's been killed by this game. The kids are supposed to solve the mystery. So basically, it's like they're playing a game, this summer internship. In fact, they do get into the game. It's this whole cool process to figure out how to even say that you want to play. And the whole book is like, I felt like I was on the cart in Gringotts when they're trying to rob Gringotts.
Okay.
Like, you are just hurtling out of control, going around crazy corners. Don't look over the side. Things are coming out of nowhere to, scare you or possibly kill you. You're not sure. There's like safe words to get you out of the game. All sorts of crazy stuff. And very, very imaginative. I have to be honest, I felt pretty inadequate reading this because a lot of the time I was like, how'd she figure that out? And I just never would have
Don't
gotten
you
there.
hate that?
Yeah.
Like when you're like,
They are so much
brain
more clever than
teasers
me.
and like things, you're just like, okay, I should have known that was referring to an eraser. Like,
So, but it's still such a fun ride. I couldn't stop reading it. And I think the compelling page-turning nature of it, like the speed of this is part of it. Like I just started letting it wash all over me. And in fact, I did read a reviewer said, don't try to sit and figure everything out. Just let it wash over you and enjoy the ride.
Smart.
Did you go back for the ending?
I've gone back for the ending. I'm trying to figure it out still because there's only so long you can let it wash over you. At some point that catches up to you. And I texted Ashley and was like, uh-oh. But yeah, so I read two things I thought in reader reviews. One said it's for those who wish, actually I think this was a professional review, those who wish inheritance games had been set in the world of Jumanji. And somebody else said it's like an Agatha Christie novel with all this crazy plot and setting and movement, action, etc.
Okay.
So I don't know if there'll be a sequel. I feel like in some ways there could be, but it's not one of those books that I was like, I need an ending. So it is one of those books where I'm like, wait, do I understand that ending? So I highly recommend this one.
Great. Thank you. Ashley.
All right, I took the cheap route out this time. I'm sorry, I read a graphic novel, but
That is so
no apologies
it doesn't take it. It's a fast read, but I loved it. I love Jen Wang. I read her Ash's Cabin, which was fantastic. I started reading Jen Wang with The Prince and the Dressmaker, and I loved it so much. And then her, I would say, more elementary age graphic novel, Stargazing, I did for one of my book club books. She's just great. I love her illustration style. It's very, it's very like warm and cozy, I think.
Yeah. The aesthetics is there.
It's really nice. So Ash's Cabin is definitely intended for an older, I would say, definitely a teen read. So Ash is, I think the book starts, Ash is 15, 16, and then by the end, they're 18. So Ash feels very much an outsider in her family, school, you name it, they don't fit in. They seem to be having some confusion with gender identity, with racial identity. They are, I think it was Chinese and Irish, I want to say. So they just don't feel like they fit in anywhere. And it seems to be a hard transition from using, we never know what their original name was, but Ash is the preferred name. So the illustrator, Jen Wang, actually blacks out the original name. So I think that's like intended to show where like there's just this unsettling, they don't know where they fit in. So every year, the whole family, they have two sisters, and I think that's it. They all pack up and they go to their family's ranch in Northern California. So their grandfather, what's his name, Edwin, Grandpa Edwin is the last person in their family that they feel understood them completely. He passed away. So there's a mystery cabin that they are convinced he built that is in that her family's ranch. So then they find out that the family is selling the ranch. So
devastation.
Yeah.
They feel like they're never going to find the cabin that that their grandfather stayed in, and so they're upset about that. So they are able to somehow convince their parents to let them go completely alone to stay at the ranch while they all go to Disneyland. So it's
at 15 or 16.
At 15. Really? Yeah. So not totally alone. They have a cousin who's out there. So, but the cousin's 21 and couldn't care less. Right. So the minute Ash arrives, their cousin is like, I have a party that I'm going to, and I'll be gone for a week, so you'll be good, right? So Ash takes this as the opportunity to leave and never come back. So it's very My Side of the Mountain meets like Hatchet. It's just like going into the woods to discover themselves. They experience bears, food poisoning, like you name it. Everything that could go wrong does go wrong, and all they have to go off of is learning what they got from like YouTube before they left. So it is not an easy go. They do meet some really fantastic characters along the way who also happen to be just camping out in the woods. And what I loved about it is using the woods as almost like obviously a place of self-discovery, but also a place where you can drop off your fears and move on. And like Ash meets a woman who is afraid of becoming a mom. So she's pregnant and left her partner, and she goes to the woods for some just solitude. It just shows like two very different circumstances finding solutions in the same way. So I love the illustrations. I learned a lot about poisonous weeds and like things that you can actually eat and not die from. So it was very informative, beautifully illustrated, and keep in mind that this is happening also during the California wildfires. So that kind of Ash is also faced with that huge thing. So it was great. I loved it. But the one warning I will give is there is a dog in it. Doesn't die. Dog doesn't die, but the dog does get hurt. So be forewarned about that. But
trigger warning.
The dog gets hurt, but the dog's name is Chance, and probably my favorite character in the entire. Because I'll be honest, when I started this, I told Brett, I was like, I don't think I like Ash, because I felt like
it takes a while.
Their parents were so understanding and so like I felt like the parents were so supportive, and they were still like grumpy towards them. I was like, give them a chance. They're trying.
I agree with. I also read that. I'm almost done with it. I didn't finish it yet, but I do agree. Like the first like even pages where they freak out about like the student council, like the signs were just like, take it easy.
Well, maybe you should have read the rules. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I just felt like
they were intense.
The parents. There's a period of adjustment for the parents too, and so. And I didn't feel any kind of resistance from the parents. I felt like they were trying really hard to work with them and do what was best for them. And Ash just like refused to see it. And I was like, what the heck? Give him a break. So that was my only, but I do think maybe that was intentional, because once they get into the woods, they become a different person. And like they're way more, I think they come to the realization that people are a part of nature, and in order, like if you're going to nature to nurture yourself and to find, to find yourself, that's in people too. Like you can't do it without.
It kind of reminded me of that Into the Wild, like very much so. The character just wanted to get away.
Yeah,
like,
they
just needed
seeking
to get away.
Isolation. That's what they wanted more than anything. But you start to see that fall apart when something happens to Chance, and then they're really by themselves, and they're like, man, I don't think this was what I wanted. Yeah. So it gives you a lot to think about, a lot, and it definitely makes you feel like going out for a hike. So I enjoyed it. I did. And there is definitely some good character development, because I started not really liking Ash, and I ended liking them. So
that's good to know. I will finish it this weekend. Alrighty. I guess it's my turn. So I have done, in one of our earliest podcasts, another book from the same author. So it is My Salty Mary, and it's by a trio, Cynthia, Brodi, Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. And they
I thought that was one person. I was like, good night.
No,
That's a long name.
There's three of them, and they co-write, triple write. What do you say? Co-write. Yeah. The My Lady Jane series. So it's awesome. I can't. It's hard to explain these books because they're out there. Like you just have to kind of just read it and enjoy it for what it is. So basically what it is, they take the story of The Little Mermaid, and we have the character Mary. And she wants to be a pirate. So it's awesome. So here's the deal. So Mary found herself in a precarious situation where she gives her heart to Charles. And boy, did that Charles just stomp all over it. Man. So she has no choice but to kind of get over Charles and because she gave her heart and she's brokenhearted, and the whole lore with the mermaids, like she'll become sea foam if she returns to the sea. So it turns out she gets saved and rescued by a band of pirates. And instead of running away and hiding, she finds that she loves this life. And she's obviously hiding her gender. She is, taking on a different role, not saying that she is a woman. And she befriends Tobias, who is basically Blackbeard's son. And what happens, it kind of fast forwards a little bit, there is a competition now to be the predecessor of Blackbeard. He basically dies, and there's this contest to be the pirate king. And she sets out basically with her crew to kind of prove that, like, hey, women can be pirates and be a pirate king / queen. So that's kind of where the story takes place. It's just like they have to all compete, find this treasure. It's really kooky. It's really a lot of insane references to just so many pop culture things that you're just like, you guys are all over the place. But it's fun. It's something I kind of really needed after reading a Stephen King book at the same time. So yeah.
Those Sabbath books.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I took out like 2 graphic novels and like this just to kind of clean my palette. Yeah, exactly. So there's also a bunch of kind of, secondary characters like her cousin, Jack, who is also a merman and in love with a woman named Anne. And she's just outrageous and just also wants to be a pirate. And she is just like the toughest cookie on the planet. I'm scared of her, but she's fun. And he's just, it's like, all the weird things that you remember from the Little Mermaid story, you're just like, oh my God, like what is happening? But it's funny. Like it's quirky, it's funny. There's lots of hidden gems. Like you find, like they're kind of touching on a lot of like gender roles, gender swapping, just trying to prove your mettle. And it's really like, if you've ever read any, you'll understand. And I think like, with the trio, they know their audience, so they know like how far to kind of go with it. Right. So if you like books that kind of take a step back from like reality and just kind of make fun of and draw attention to like references in pop culture, it's so random. It's just so random, but it's so great. It's a lot of fun, and I definitely would recommend any of them. There's so many. There's also like, yeah, these are just and that I'm talking about the My Mary ones. They also did My Plain Janes. Yep, My Lady Jane. So Calamity
Do you have to read them in order?
No, not at all. They'll do some nods to like previous characters, but like in no means do you have to read them in any order. I think I read like My Calamity Jane before I read like My Lady Jane, and that was like the 3rd one in the series. So all good. Yeah, but that's it for me.
Wild ride.
I know it is it is nuts. It's all over the place, but I loved it.
All right, so mine is For She Is Wrath by Emily Varga. This one just came out like a couple months ago. This is historical fantasy Pakistani retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo.
Okay.
So
sign me up.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Which is so funny because right before I read this, I was watching the 2002 movie with Jim Caviezel.
Oh God.
And I was comparing it because I remember I love the premise of the book, but I didn't love the book because there were so many like weird side plots with like the next generation, and that the movie was way more streamlined. And I will say this book is actually closer to the movie than the actual book.
Oh wow.
So in this one, our hero is a heroine named Dania, whose father was the best swordsmith in the Empire. And when it opens, you find out that she is plotting an escape from the prison that she's been trapped in for about a year. And she is almost escape, but then it goes sideways. And she's tortured and then put back in the cell. While she's recovering, like the ground of her cell just like breaks open, and a girl her age comes out of the hole, and
Amazing.
and just tells her, "Oh wait, I dug on the wrong side."
just like
Darn.
amazing. This is not where I left my car.
Yeah,
I've got that
so
Bugs Bunny popping up in
literally,
Sweet for fanboy.
yeah. So
Sorry. Sorry, I apologize.
Okay, sorry, Rosa.
Yeah, so they get to know each other and they find out they're both trying to escape. So they decide, oh, we're going to dig our way out together, the opposite way, obviously. And so a couple weeks pass where like they're both just digging, and then there's a cave in, and the girl, Noor, becomes trapped in the cave in.
No.
So Danya takes Noor out of the tunnel, and there's so much blood that like she has to like basically bang on like the door of Noor's cell and say, hey, like there's somebody here who's like dying. And before that, they've been talking while digging, and you find out that Danya was framed for a murder, and she has there are two people she blames for this. Well, three technically. One is her boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend, who is the ward of the emperor, the second person that she wants to get revenge on, and the third person is the captain of the guard who arrested her. So she has these three people, kind of like Arya Stark, just like repeating these names over and over. She's out to get revenge on them. But more than anything, she wants to see her father again because she can't imagine what he's been going through. And she finds out that Noor is somebody who used to handle this power that the jinns guard that the emperor wants access to basically like solidifies control over the empire. And her mentor dies, so Noor is also angry at the emperor. So they're both working together to get out and get revenge on the emperor. But Noor is injured, so Noor is taken out of the cell to be healed because she knows where the legendary treasure is supposed to be. That would give unlimited power to whoever finds it, and she just refuses to like tell. And from there, Danya finds a way to escape, and they both escape the island, and they find that instead of going for like the revenge plot, Danya says, "Oh, I really want to see my dad again." But
Oh, wow.
it turns out she finds out her dad's dead.
No.
So that's when she's like, "Okay, let's go get revenge." And
Sidetrack.
Plan B.
yeah, really.
Wow.
And then so they find the treasure, and the plan for revenge to pick off all their enemies one by one starts, and it's not enough for them to kill off their enemies. They want to make them suffer and lose everything they hold dear. So
Is there magic?
yeah,
There is. Okay.
There's
I was like, there's got to be
engines.
magic. It's Rosa.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you mentioned the gin part, and I was just like, there's got to be a magic element in this.
Yeah. I will say, like, when I saw this was compared to what was that book that I really did not like with the enemies to lovers by Maya Ibrahim.
I was gonna say you gotta give us more. That is
yeah,
a very
really.
broad example.
Can't think.
The sequel is like The Serpent Sea, but anyway, it was compared to that Maya Ibrahim book that I did not like because like there was like that Jin love triangle and the girl.
Oh, Spice Road.
Yeah, Spice Road.
Oh, yeah.
It was
I didn't like
compared
that.
to that.
I didn't like that either.
Spice Road.
Spice Road.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I really didn't like it either. It was awful.
Yeah. I was so like, oh, if this is compared to that, I don't know if I like, but this is like miles better.
Okay,
so.
good. Cool. Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, Spice World was disappointing. Yeah, I remember that.
I think I started it and got like 4 pages in, and then you guys said no. So
Yeah, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
trust them. If they tell you not to, don't bother.
I didn't even pick it up. So there you go.
All right. Well, thank you. And now we are going to turn the tables around to our roundabout discussion, and I believe we decided on reading resolutions since we are entering the new year. Does anybody want to go first, or I will go? I will go first.
Justin
I will
goes
go
first. What's your resolution?
So it's funny that you say that because you actually inspired my resolution.
Yay.
As everybody knows here, I'm not a fan of horror. I do not read.
I've converted her.
I do not I do not read things that scare me. But I did pick up Stephen King's 11.
That's not scary.
It's not. It's not. It's not. Time out. Time
All
out.
right,
It's
even
not.
our peanut gallery's
It's
getting
not.
involved over here.
Time out. It's not. But there are some horrific things that happen
Yes,
in the novel.
Very definitely.
And
Yes.
and I'm
Yes.
getting to that part, and
I'm
I
sorry.
literally was like tearing up when they're telling. I don't want to.
Yeah,
No
don't go
spoilers.
into it.
Yeah.
No
But
spoilers.
my resolution for this year is to read out of my comfort zone. I'm going to
All
read
right.
books that are terrifying.
I can give you so many
Ashley's
good
already
suggestions.
starting a list.
Because
Let's see.
I tend to stick to lighthearted, sci fantasy rom-coms. I am not a gory person. I do love a good mystery. I do. I love a good mystery, but I stay away from any of that. And I'm also going to try to do some biographies. I feel like I don't read enough biographies. So that's
some really
my
good
reading
ones, yeah.
resolutions. I have 2.
You've read some scary stuff that I've suggested to you. You read Let the Right One In.
I did. I did not like that.
Half of it's in Swedish.
That was tough to get through, though.
Yeah.
That was tough. I literally read that with the light
And I don't
on,
think that one's that scary.
All the lights in the room.
I don't. It's a really good book, but I don't think it's that scary.
I just like the way he writes.
Yeah.
I really enjoy his writing. Like, he hooked me the first chapter, and I was like,
That's a fantastic book.
I hate how right you are about him.
And the movie's so weird. Not the Let Me In, which I think is.
Oh,
the
you need to
American-
watch the
Let
Swedish
Right
one. Yeah, the
The little
Swedish
blonde
one.
that one.
Forget it. Very weird.
I could not sleep.
See, I can't watch the scary stuff. I can read the scary stuff, but I can't watch
It's
the
so
scary
interesting to me when you talk about things because you will read books about like true crime and all this like gory kill. But
cannot
you
watch
can't read like vampire books.
No, I end up, if I'm watching them, I end up watching it in the reflection of the window in my TV room. Or if I'm watching it on my phone, I turn my phone like flat so I can't quite see the whole screen. Somehow it's
less scarier that
it's
way.
like in Friends when Joey wants to put it in the freezer.
Yes.
Like that's just,
No, I understand, and honestly, that's why I stay away from that
Yeah.
genre.
I can
'cause
read 'em.
I'm not.
Can't watch
I don't like to. My imagination is strong. I don't like it.
you can control the pace of it when you're reading it.
Yeah, I think that's why I like it. It's you can kind of take your eyes off the page for a
Right.
second and
Take a deep
you know,
breath
you know.
and then go back to it.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, because I the best example of that is like watching The Exorcist and
Oh,
then
yes,
reading
you
The
know.
Exorcist. So I've obviously done both numerous times, but the watching it just happens to you, and you're like,
Right.
oh my god! But with the book, you can kind of get a sense of like, I know where this is going now.
I'm in
and you
control.
just But that's the one book that I read that I was like, I needed a break from it because I was like, this is scaring me too much. It just oof.
Yeah, you've told me parts of that, and I know I won't
It's
read
just
it.
it's just the stairwell scene will get me.
That's the one I
whether
think of.
in the book or in the movie, it just freaks me out every time. It's written so well that I remember I got to it, I was like, oh no, I can't read this.
I love when you get like that. It's very rare when Ashley gets scared. Very rare. And where she's taken by surprise.
covered it with my hands and I was like,
See?
nope.
Yep.
And then I finished it.
in the freezer for you.
In
Yeah.
the freezer for you, exactly.
Yeah. I'll go. So this has been an ongoing resolution of mine since I graduated high school, pretty much, is to revisit a book that I read in high school and give it another shot.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically a classic because I mean, I understand that the necessity of having to read it for a school assignment, but it takes away a lot of the enjoyment from it.
Yeah.
So, like having reread like Frankenstein, I've done that a bunch of times.
Teacher's Room and A Tale of Two Cities for me.
Yeah.
Well, even
all
if you
of that.
liked it in high school, your life experience is so
Changes.
different.
Yeah.
Oh, at 5 years later, like
Yeah.
just after college,
Yeah.
5 years after that, everything changes.
There's one book I will always read like every 2 years. It's The Alchemist. I will always. I don't know why. It just makes me. It's fast. It just my perspective changes every time I read it, and it's I give it like a year or two, and it's just every time I'm just like I love you.
Put that on
I
my
love this
list.
book.
So I always try to it's either a repeated one that I read in high school,
I was about to say for our listeners, there were air quotes.
air quotes there, or may have just scammed or just skimmed over a little bit. But
notes.
You could not have done that.
I absolutely did that. So
Are
much.
you not a teenager if you did not do that for at least one or two?
not
hours?
do that.
You
Not
stop
with
it.
books.
You stop it.
Not with books. I did it with
When-
textbooks all the time.
I'm sorry,
but not
but summer reading I always finished.
Yeah.
Cover to cover, I did all of the reading for that because I had the time for it.
Right. Yeah.
During school, you're handing me Atlas Shrugged. I'm not going to read that. I'm sorry, I don't have time.
I loved that book.
but it's like a
But I didn't
700-page
I
book.
didn't read it for high school.
Yeah, so there are some books that I may have just glance through, and I got the gist
Kids,
of it.
don't try this
Don't
at home.
if you can, do it. Read it completely.
Your local librarian is telling you
It's just
to read the book.
In my defense, I was taking multiple AP classes, and I had lots of after school activities. I was involved in journalism and all these things. So
The paper.
I think that I earned my Spark Note rights, right? And I got straight A's. So we'll just leave it with that. But the same thing. I mean, college, and then I picked up because in college I did read every book that I had to read. I read. You had to. There was really no skirting around that one. But anyway, so either a classic that I've never read before or something that I read once and I feel needs another chance. Yeah. The only one that I have read multiple times that never changes for me, that I just don't like it. What is it? The Holden Caulfield.
Catcher in the Rye?
I hate that book. Whether I'm 15 years old, whether I'm 30 years old, I just don't like it.
What is it? Is it his voice?
He's a brat, and I just don't.
When
I was 16, I thought this guy's a brat, and then when I was 30, I was like, yeah, he's still a brat.
No, that makes
don't.
sense. That's like one of the biggest turnoff for that book. It's
I just
to
don't.
me.
I don't like him, and I felt like I knew what the author was trying to do, and I was like, all right, I get it. Like you kind of feel like you're beating me over the head with it. It just didn't do it for me. There are a lot of books that I have read like in high school and then read again. And I was like, man, I really missed out. Like that whole experience I missed out with. A lot of it was British literature.
Yeah.
I read The Orphan. Why can I not think of it right now?
Oliver Twist.
Thank you. I read
Oliver Twist.
I read Oliver Twist when I was in high school, and I liked it. And but reading it again as an adult, I was like, this is just so much better than I
There's
remember
so
it
many
being.
that are like that.
A lot of them.
Dickens was great. Like
I loved Dickens.
I thought he was so smart the way he serialized his books. Like he was just brilliant. I thought,
So I feel like a lot of your classics deserve a revisit.
Absolutely.
And that's my resolution.
I'll second that.
That's a good one. I think
good
Kiefer does the same thing too.
Is there like a book you read back then that you liked, and then upon rereading you were like, oh, I'm not into this?
She's got a look that says yes.
Yeah.
The only one that comes to mind is Ethan Frome.
Oh, yeah.
I loved
Okay.
it. And when I was in high school, I loved it. And then I read it again. I was like, oh, man.
I loved it in high school too, but I haven't reread it.
I haven't
don't
reread
think
it in a
I
while.
should reread
I think we
it.
should all read it.
I don't know. I don't know what changed. I just maybe it's because I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was kind of
okay.
like, that
makes
one.
sense.
And sometimes I feel like with Of Mice and Men, where like you know where it's heading, but it ruins it so that you can't read it again.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, sometimes
Like
it's-
Flowers for Algernon. Like
Right.
I can't ever reread that book. It breaks my heart every time.
You pick up things early on, then you see the doom coming.
Honestly, anytime any teenager borrows it because they have to do it for school, I'm just like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Bring out the tissues.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. But yeah, Ethan Frome is the first one that comes to
All
mind
right.
that I'm like, meh.
Interesting.
Fair.
I'm gonna reread it.
At least it's short. It's not,
it's very
not a
short,
long
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Rosa, your resolution?
I think
Read less pirates.
Oh,
Just kidding.
More West
I know
Pirates.
she loved it. I read
said
the pirate.
pirates.
I know. I'm joking. Clearly.
so I always find that like for me reading tends to be a little solitary, and it gets it's a little isolating, especially if like you have your own reading list to everybody else's. So I was wondering if like my resolution would be like to engage more in terms of like what I'm reading about, and like I thought maybe I could reach out to authors of books I really liked, and just I don't mean to like basically bog them with like
Fangirl them.
yeah, but just like I guess sort of like just tell them, oh, I really enjoyed your book, and then sort of like because I know there's been a lot of difficulty with like the publishing industry and like the book bans, and everybody's feeling a little insecure and scared with how they're
Future of books.
the future of books, exactly. And there are a lot of people who feel like, oh, my voice isn't worth listening to, and for me it's like, oh no, actually this this made an impact, and I just like you to know, even in like 2 sentences, this book really like touched me.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
That's a great resolution.
Basically just reach out to authors more.
I like
that.
Yeah.
I never thought to do that.
Yeah, especially since they're so accessible now. They're on Blue Sky, Instagram, Book Talk. So
It's funny because with like your all book boxes and stuff like that, if we tag the author, 9 times out of 10 they'll respond to it. And be like, oh, that's awesome.
They're
Thank you for
so
including my
starved
book.
for like discussion or like because I guess for writing is also very like solitary and lonely.
Yeah.
So
Keep writing. Keep writing, authors.
yes, please.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, folks.
Brit didn't do hers.
Oh my God. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Brit. I'm so sorry.
So mine's fairly quick and easy. I want to read every month one of the books from not the New York Times editors and authors, but the readers. poll.
Okay.
That's good.
The top 100 of
I was about
the
to say, if you do the
century so
Goodreads,
far.
don't.
No.
No, Goodreads is too skewed.
No, it's, no.
Yeah. So that's
Cool.
once a month. And that's some of them, it's like, okay, great. Well, 11/22/63 was on there. I was like, all right, check. I'll get
That's
2 checks, 1 book, so
it's getting good for me.
that's
It's
it.
getting
One
good.
a month, along with all my usual.
Brittin, you are reading so much. I love it.
I'm having fun.
You are my hero.
Britt and I
As it
worked
should
on
be.
Saturday, and we were looking at like, at the end of the year, everybody finishes their Goodreads goals. So I'm like proud because I achieved 119% of my goal. My goal was like 32 books. It was nothing crazy. And then I look at Lori.
Lori's at
Yo.
120.
Lori,
Over 120 books.
time out.
Good
Lori, by
night.
the way, is our director at this library. For those
And
who
she has amazing reading taste.
It's amazing.
Yes, she really
it's
does.
amazing. If you ever want to just pick a person's brain for a good book, just ask Lori.
Because I feel that she's read so much.
Yeah,
And
she
like,
has.
I'm just curious, how much do you read in a year? Like, how many books would you say?
I'm at 148.
Good
Wow.
night, Rosa. My word.
No, it's nothing. My my husband is at 300.
Oh, my Lord.
Does he sleep?
How?
But wait, he's a children's librarian?
Yes.
How many of those are picture
He doesn't count picture books.
What about middle grade?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but those take time.
See, I count middle grade and teen, obviously.
Of course.
I count,
Yeah.
But not
that's-
picture books.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
If
300.
I counted picture books, I'd be in the 200, 300
Yeah.
realm too.
Oh, yeah, for
You
sure.
also have a 2-year-old, so let's
do.
keep things in perspective.
That I just find that so
Sitting
impressive.
down and reading.
Is it bad that I
really-
don't keep track of how many books I read in a year?
bad.
No,
Sometimes it can be stressful.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't want to
I feel like I'm slacking if I do
I
that.
love it when you get those, it's like on Instagram or from Goodreads. If you need a short book to fluff up your list, like,
Oh.
really? Who are we trying to impress here? I mean,
I don't agree with that, but I'm so impressed by that. I wish that
That's
I was that
crazy.
kind of a reader.
pretty nuts.
A lot of it is
Very
nonfiction, so
Even
that's
better.
even-
That's
it's
harder.
my head is stuffed with like information, and it's just sort of like bouncing around. So there's like no compartments to like put them in. So like it's just kind of a mess up there.
Well, it's great when you read a book and you know you loved it and you can't remember a darn thing about it.
Oh, God, that's the worst.
I know it was great.
Ashley was talking about a book last time that I was like, did I read this? I think I read this. I think I read this. Did I? Yeah.
Yeah.
I did,
hard.
right?
Yeah.
No, wait. But
Yeah.
I don't remember what happens. I must not have read it.
You remembered the braids in the attic. And
I
you're like,
remember
Yes.
the braids.
that.
when-
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that book you did
I
last
got
time.
off the braids. I was like, ooh, I did read this one.
Yeah.
That's why when like there are kids who come up and it's like, I read this book I loved. I just don't know the author, what it's
Yeah.
about, and what the title is, and you know what? I
was-
get it.
We feel you.
I get it.
The cover was blue.
Yes.
Always.
All right. Well,
On
thank
that
you
note.
guys. Sorry again, Brittin. I don't know why I spaced. I
Not
thought
a
you had
problem.
gone first. Like, I'm just so used to you always
I
going
do
first.
like to go first.
My brain had a brain mishap.
That's
One minor plug, if you are a
Not minor.
teen, yeah, one little push, just if you're a teen and you want to get some volunteer hours, we are taking on kids to read our reviews on our Goodreads account. Ask Miss Olivia for more information. Yeah.
It's like your own little mini podcast.
I love it. We're getting a lot of kids doing it,
It's
and it's
great.
great. Again, you can get it through our website, or if you open up a book, there's a QR code, and you can either read the review or listen to the book review. It's wonderful. Doing great things here. All right, thanks, ladies, and we'll see you folks in the new year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
The All Booked podcast is written, directed, and hosted by Justin, Rosa, Ashley, and Brittin, and produced and edited by Olivia Esteban. All Booked is produced by the Ridgewood Public Library. Please consider subscribing and sharing with friends, and follow us on Facebook. You can find links to the books we talked about today in the description. Thanks for listening, and keep reading.